So while we were off camera, Mr. Steven and Miss Maddie asked where the name Pandagasms came from. Okay, so I'm Panda, and the name Panda came from when I was pregnant with my twins. And people said I looked like a Soka Panda. So when Facebook first came out, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna change that to my Facebook name. And they was like, no, you're not. So I did it. And then people just kind of dropped the Soka part and I got stuck with Panda. So that's how the Manda Panda came. And then Pandagasms came during COVID when Pandagasms was born. So Pandagasms is 5 years old, y'all. Yay! And Pandagasms is because an orgasm is, it's a good feeling, a release of things. And that's what we give you verbally. We give you a mental orgasm with the conversations that we have. We're a podcast, we talk. And they're respectful, stimulating conversations. They make people think. And I'm Panda. I'm the owner of the show. It's my baby. So, the Panda girls, we give you the orgasm.
So it's her and her friend, right? What's the other girl that you're on?
Nettie Boo and Big Cap. There's two of us. There's three of them.
And Big Cat?
Big Cap, because she's a Capricorn.
So I met her. Y'all know me and Maddie. We be out at V Healthy. That's my spot.
Yes, that's where we met at V Healthy.
I also go to Shea Butter Smoothie. Different, it's different vibe. But we met at V Healthy. Mm-hmm. So when she was telling me about her podcast, I was like, yo, let me go check them out on Instagram, right? Yo, I just subscribed to them on YouTube too.
Yes.
So, yo, they wild, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Yo,
we're wild in a good way.
Some of the conversations they have, they for the ladies. I will say that. Fellas, if you want to learn something, man, about the opposite sex, I'm gonna say, yo, listen to their podcast, man. You might hear some things, man, that'll help you.
Did you learn some things from their podcast?
Listen, man, we ain't talking about me right now. We talking about Pandagasms.
Oh,
man.
my goodness.
See,
right.
she go,
so did Pandagasms teach you anything?
That y'all are wild, man. Like,
besides that, were you able to take any notes about healthy tips that we left for men about?
Nah, because I didn't watch everything, right?
Okay. Which episode did you watch?
I was just going through.
Okay.
Like just checking y'all out.
Okay.
I seen y'all do a yoga thing.
That was me.
Chair yoga.
Yes.
That's right. Chair yoga right up my alley. Cause
come to a class. I teach it. I teach yoga. I'm a yoga instructor. Yes, I teach yoga. So different days. If you watch the whole episode, my schedule is on there for the month.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys know, man, if you follow me, never not working, other side of the wall, we bounce back. And we're not who you said we were. I'm always meeting people and, connecting with people. And when she told me she had a podcast, we're like connected. And here I am, man, at Spark
FM.
Spark FM.
Yep.
Pandagasm podcast. And we on top.
We are, and I'm so happy to have you here. You as well as your girlfriend, Maddie.
No.
That being said, hold on,
you can't say girlfriend.
Oh yes, I'm sorry, your lady.
Mama,
I don't want moms to come after me. Mom told son, you're not the girlfriend, so I gotta follow what mom says. She ain't coming after me. I believe in respecting your elders, and I'm gonna do what my elders told me to do. And the elders said, don't call you girlfriend. You're his woman. You're his lady. All right. And with that being said, welcome to Pandagasms, y'all. I am your lovely hyper hostess, Panda. We have our guest, Mr. Steven Pina, and his lovely woman, Maddie. Yes. Welcome.
Thank you.
And with that being said, you gave us a nice spiel to discuss how we met. I usually do that, but you took it, and I have no problem with that. I don't mind. That was less for me to discuss. But yes, we did meet in a smoothie shop that still hasn't responded to me about doing a class there. But
doing a what?
A yoga class there, a pop-up.
I think there should be two things out there. I think you should do one of the podcasts there, and the yoga thing.
My sister-in-law said the same thing. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have. Well, she actually was the one who put me on the spotlight because I was a little shy that day. And she was like, so she has a podcast. And that's how we ended up speaking. But since you are here, let's talk about you. Your business is called Never Not Working. Let's talk about that.
Business is called Never Not Working. So there's some people that know, most people know. In 1996, I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole
Oh,
for a murder that I did not commit. 28 years later, on March 9th of 2022, I was released on a motion to stay, which we filed a Rule 30 motion, pretty much telling the judge there was a miscarriage of justice in this case due to prosecutorial and police misconduct. And I was released on a motion to stay, which is the judge released me as he made a decision. And just February 3rd of 2025, the murder case was overturned, the sentence was vacated. So it feels good to say that I'm no longer a convicted murderer.
Never were.
However,
that's
I
right. You
never
heard what you
was.
ladies
No,
said.
of course, that's what we talked about. Like, I've been telling them I was innocent from day one. So coming home, one of the things I wanted to do was remind people and tell people about wrongful conviction. And I felt the best way to do it was to have a T-shirt that sparked the conversation. So my first T-shirt just said hashtag never not working on the front, and on the back it said hashtag other side of the wall. So it was never not working is what it took for me to come home, and I had made it on the other side of the wall. And Miss Maddie here, my lady, said to me, other side of the wall ain't just about being incarcerated. And I'm like, what you mean? She said, well, there's people on the other side of the wall of addiction, homelessness, depression, sexual assault, and just trauma in general. So what happens when they get past that or they get on the other side of the wall? And I'm like, whoa. But then when I came home, I also saw that a lot of my friends who had been incarcerated had businesses, nonprofits, and I'm like, yo, y'all bounce back. And then it became other side of the wall, we bounce back. So oh yeah, that's the logo there.
I like it.
Usually the bird is blue. My logo is usually blue and white. And blue for me represents freedom. The New England Innocence Project and the Exonorees Network, two organizations that have been helpful in getting me home and helping me since I've been home. And the Exonorees Network was founded by Sean Ellis, who was also wrongfully convicted, has a Netflix series out called Trial 4.
Right. That was the one over on Walgreens.
Yeah. And he is one of my best friends. You know what I'm saying? So it got people to ask me, hey, what's never not working?
Right.
And it gave me an opportunity to say, hey, this is what it took for me to come home, 28 years. And a lot of people say I'm sorry, and it's not your fault. You know what I'm saying? And then it just like took on a whole other mind of its own, never not working. People just took it and like, yo.
So I got some questions.
Go ahead.
What happened? Were you in the wrong place at the wrong time?
I wasn't at the place at the time, but prior to all of that happened, I was in the streets.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was in the streets.
Can I ask you how old were you when you started to get into the streets?
I was 17. So I grew up Jehovah's Witness. And at a certain age, I was telling my mother, like, yeah, I don't want to go to Kingdom Hall no more. And then just seeing the guys in my neighborhood having nice things. So I started out, selling drugs, and it just led to just me being around the area that happened. I was in the area, I was known in the area, but on the night of this homicide, I wasn't there. But, what happens is people say, oh, I seen this, I seen that. And then, with the case being having police misconduct and prosecutorial misconduct, there were a lot of things that were withheld, pointing to, someone else and, withholding evidence that would have showed that I was innocent. So.
And was Miss Maddie a lady the whole time?
No.
Okay.
So that's a whole.
So when did you jump into the picture, Miss Maddie?
I think he was like 7 months home when I met him. We actually met through Facebook dating.
Oh, okay. Okay, Facebook dating. Okay.
Through Facebook dating. I know people be like, huh? And I'm like, no, seriously. I was literally about to take my page down and I got a heart. And my page, so my bio had some things and he had questions about my bio.
And what were the questions about the bio? You know I'm going to ask. What did he question about that was in your bio?
So part of my bio was, one, the reason why I was going to bring it down was because I noticed that a lot of men can't hold conversation.
Child.
It's good morning. I got good morning every morning, but nothing else followed. So
That was
part of
in
my
that-
yeah, part of my thing was like, if you can't hold a conversation, please swipe to the left. Just go. But the other piece of my bio also said accepting of my queerness. And Stephen being away 28 years, 28 years ago, you heard someone say queer, it meant a lot of things.
Yes.
And so he sent me a message and he's like, can I ask you a question? And I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, can you explain the queer part?
Maddie.
He's like, can you explain the queer part for me? And so I was like, what do you want to know? And he goes, are you a guy? You a girl? I'm like, no, I'm a girl. I'm a full girl. Like I'm like complete woman. And I was like, but truth be told, like prior to, I had spent a couple of years, I had a same-sex partner, right? So he was like, oh, that's what it was? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. But he was, and he's not the first person to ask, like, are you trans? Are you like, what is it? And I'm like, no, I'm cisgender, like I'm cis woman.
Okay.
And that's sort of how it started. But we honestly started as friends. Like he didn't want a serious relationship, and I was like, cool, because I think I came out of a serious relationship, and then, just being frustrated, honestly, like with the good morning, just really got to me, and I was like,
And you did more than just good morning. Good job. High five. So
we
how
were
long?
walking buddies for a while, for a couple of months. We were walking buddies.
Nice. So wait.
Okay, my fault,
How
my
long has
fault.
it been official?
3,
Two.
no, two and some change.
Two and some change.
Nice.
Two
Good
and some
job. Good
change.
job.
Two
Good
and some
job.
change. Yeah.
So after all of this, did he lead with it? Like, I just did this amount of time.
Well, actually, that was the first thing. He said, I need you to Google me.
So, okay. He was like, I need you to know up front who I am. And I'm taking it, you Googled him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were still okay with everything. Did you have questions? Were you like, I don't want to do?
No,
Like, what
I
was your
guess for
first-
me, my thought process is a person isn't who their past dictates them to be. And just based on my own trauma from people that I've been around, right? Anyone deserves a second chance. Not to say that I thought that he was guilty or not, but regardless that you was away for 28 years, innocent or not, like people deserve a second chance. Like, so I'm not judging you based on your past. I'm judging you from what I know now. Like me getting to know you as an individual. So no, that didn't really, didn't factor in at all, one thing or the other.
I like that. I like that you led with it. I think that would have gave me the chance to be like, I don't care about the past either. Because he led with it. Had it been, y'all was talking, dating, and then he tells you 2 years later, I'd be like, bruh, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. And this is what I tell people. If you just lead with full transparency and let people decide,
Absolutely.
they'll respect you more and probably still deal with you.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, okay. The Gasmers know what that look meant.
What that look mean?
That meant take heed. Take heed
You saying take heed to the fellas
to whomever
or to whoever's
it resonates with.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were gonna say something before I politely stopped you so I could get that question out. Do you remember what you were gonna say?
No.
No? Okay, great. So we'll continue on, and you might remember later during another conversation. You'll be like, hey, I remember now. So also part of what you were saying with your program is how it affects the mental health. Do you want to dive into that?
So there's a I call it post-incarceration trauma, but there's a new name which is post-incarceration syndrome. Anyone that has done time, and for some people, if they've only spent a night in jail, there's a trauma that comes with that when you come home, because that's an experience of something that you're not used to. So 28 years of being locked up, you begin to change. Your thought processes change. So when you come home, there's stuff like so part of my never not working is never not working to get back to a normalcy, right? But then what does that look like? So people are like, yeah, before I got locked up, I was on the streets.
Right.
So was that normal? So it's like, how do I get back to this normalcy? How do I get my mental health better? You know what I'm saying? The adjustment of coming out here. So it's like you come home, and I remember for me it was the reality of freedom hit me. Bro, you free. And when that hit me, it was like, yo, I had to take a step back. Then soon after that, the reality of responsibility hit.
Mm-hmm.
Be of freedom.
Yep.
And that, I think that had me like depressed for a week.
A week?
About a week.
That's impressive, because I've heard longer.
Well, I say a week like in the house.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And
But
whoever knows him it's not normal for him to be in a house.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. You're an outside person.
And it's still, there's times when it's still like, damn, I got a rent to pay. I got insurance to pay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to follow up on my appointments and stuff. Where when you're incarcerated, you ain't got to follow up on nothing.
You don't. Yes.
You come downstairs, if your name's on the list, you go to wherever it tells you to go.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I got to make health appointments. You know what I'm saying? I got to schedule health appointments. Like there's just so much. You know what I'm saying? But I will say that I knew always while incarcerated that if ever I was to come home, I would need counseling. And I felt, and I used to say this to dudes all the time, yo, when y'all go home, man, because again, I'm doing life. And guys I knew were going home, like, yo, when y'all go home, you're going to need counseling. You're going to need counseling. Dudes, man, I ain't getting no counseling. What you talking about, man? And when I came home, I knew that, but actually doing it
Is
was
a whole other
something
thing.
different.
Yeah. Knowing you need something and doing what you need to do, that's two different things.
And I would always call, Sean Ellis, like, because he understood. And I'd be like, yo, bro, I'm dealing. But it got to a point where I had met a friend of mine and she was like, yo, you need counseling. Really look into it.
So hold on. You was telling people to go to counseling and then you said, I'm not going to go?
It wasn't that I wasn't going to go. It's just for black men, it's taboo.
I think for the black community.
The black community,
It's
it's taboo.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's, how do you find the right counselor,
It's like finding a job.
right? And I remember there was one counselor, I talked to her, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to get back to you. She never got back to me. So I was like, well, that ain't going to work. And then I met Donnice Watson.
She gonna kill you for not
I know,
remembering.
not remember. All I got to do is remember, listen. That's all I got to remember. Crossroads counseling. And what made me choose her was she was formerly incarcerated.
So you had
She
somebody
was
that
black.
can relate.
She grew up in the hood. And then our first conversation, not even on a therapy level, but our first conversation was an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh.
Just in us talking.
And that was your intake with her?
Nah, that was
No?
just us having a conversation. Like,
Just being
yo,
humans.
just being humans. And then she was like, yo, yeah, I'm going to take you on. She's going to let you know your treatment, I treat in a way that's unorthodox. I'm like, all right, well, whatever that means, you know what I'm saying?
So what was her treatment plan?
Well, it was very unorthodox. Like, if I needed, like, I would go and meet her, but then there would be times when I would be driving and I would call her and we would just talk. Or there'd be times like, yo, I need to see you. She'd be like, all right, I'm in Franklin Park, pull up. We'd pull up. I used to keep folding chairs in the car. We pop the trunk, pull out the chairs, and we'd have a session right there. You know what I'm saying? And it was like a every week thing. And just in the like later, after I met Maddie, this is what's crazy. After I met Maddie, I'm like, yo, we don't have these, you know, because I was always busy. And she was like, well, Steve, you're one of the few clients that I worry. I don't worry about you. Like you're doing well. I was like, what you mean? She said, bro, you got a Maddie.
Aww.
And I was like, what? She said, you got a Maddie. And I'm like, oh shit. I got a Maddie. And I found that in Maddie is my comfort, my strength sometimes, and my safety. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a Cancer. We're very sensitive and emotional people, so don't get too deep, okay?
Nah, but it's you know.
Because listen, I'm over here like, girl,
Well,
think
see,
about something else.
So to go back to the faith, when I came home, I wasn't trying to smash it. I was like, I went 28 years without it. What's a few more months?
Right.
My thing was I just wanted to be in the presence of women, estrogen, like learn how to look women in the eyes again. I still have a problem doing it, but that was, so when we met, it was like, you know, I was told, yo, when you come home, you'll be a chick magnet. That didn't happen. So I'm like, you know, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but you know, I'm fat finding for real.
Toot the horn.
I ain't no ugly dude.
Toot the horn.
So I was like, man, I was on Facebook learning how to navigate a phone and Facebook, and I seen Facebook Date, and I was like, well, let me go on here and just see how many hits I get. Mad hits. You know what I'm saying? It was mad. And then I seen her picture, and I hearted a couple people, and and I'm like, okay. And then I remember her responding, and then I remember our first like Facebook or FaceTime. And she smiled, and I was like, yo,
that was
I'm
it.
smitten.
It was a wrap.
But we had both decided, like, okay, I'm not ready for intimacy. I'm not trying to get in your pants. Let's just hang out. And I was walking every morning, and we became walking partners. And we used to do a live every morning. We walked. We'd be like, yo, I'm here with my walking partner. And we decided then that I came home with being on some honest shit. Like, I had learned, like,
right.
yo, just be honest, right? And, you know, I've been told, bro, you being too honest. You know what I'm saying? She ain't got to know every damn thing you do, which is true.
I mean, why not?
No, not everything. Not everything.
Not everything, but there's nothing wrong if she did know.
There's nothing wrong with it, but not
Don't
everything.
listen to those people telling you those things.
Not everything. And I learned that the hard way. Not everything.
And I get that. Something like I get it.
Yeah.
However, you know, when you have discernment, you got discernment. When you know your woman, then you know your woman. You know what you can tell her, what you can't.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can't
Can I
listen
back
to
up my
everything people say.
Yes.
Can I back up my brother real quick?
Go ahead.
As a man, like you don't keep stuff. Somebody like me been married for a long time. You don't keep anything from your woman or your wife, but some things you just don't got to talk about.
And I get that. I'm
Right?
not disagreeing
Like,
because, you know, we was all raised what you tell your right hand, you don't tell your left hand.
Yeah.
So I get that. However, depending on who the person is giving this information, you can't really listen to some people's advice.
Yeah, true. Facts.
Because granted,
Right.
yes, I get what he's trying to say, but this person could have also been hating on their relationship.
Nah,
You feel me?
I'm gonna be honest.
I'm an outsider looking in. I don't know who you were talking to. I don't know the context of it. I'm just saying. Sometimes people be putting things in your ear, and yes, it sounds good, but at the same time, they're hating on you. You know what I mean? So
I haven't met anyone or Maddie. I haven't introduced Maddie to anyone who doesn't like her.
good.
One of my boys, man, Shadi, as soon as he met her, man, he after just like I won't say 15, 20 minutes of conversation with her, he pulled me to the side. He said, yo, boy, you better marry her.
Because I was thinking about the cake y'all should have, but anyway. I don't even eat cake. What I really wanted to know, though, not to cut off the wonderful love story that we have going on here, because when you have this relationship with someone that's been behind the wall, it also takes a toll on their mental health as well. So, Maddie, would you like to jump in and discuss how that may have or may have not affected your mental health? Being with someone who just got out, 28 years, like he's going to therapy and all these things. Like, what was going through your head? Like, what are you feeling?
Honestly, and this is gonna sound sort of like weird because I tell him
Talking to
sometimes-
the mic,
'cause
Maddie.
he'll
Talking
say-
to the
he'll
mic.
say, "Baby, how do you deal with it?" And I say to him, "Because I treat you sometimes like my client."
So, are you a therapist too?
I am not a therapist.
I was about to say, I know you're not doing. Never mind.
No, I'm a senior medical case manager.
Okay.
So, and I work with a very heavy population. So the population that I work with are either actively in addiction and recovery, formerly incarcerated.
Okay, so this
homeless.
was already.
Yeah, so it's like, but he really, believe it or not, and a lot of people, yes, there is this post-incarceration syndrome, and it does exist, and it's very real. Mm-hmm. For Stephen, at least with my experience with him, it's more of the shutdown. He'll have just moments where he'll like shut down. And that is hard for me sometimes because me being me, I sometimes am like in my head, like, okay, did I do something? What's
Right.
going on? And I'll ask a million times, are you okay? And that frustrates him. So I'm learning just as well as he's learning, right? So to be quite honest, I think it's a learning
A whole
curve.
learning process for
It's
everybody.
it's a learning process for us. But, you know, and to say, yes, we know some individuals that come home and they just have a lot of things, a lot of buildup, a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily see that in Stephen. So you don't feel like you have a lot of stuff.
Right, and especially because just going back to what you said, your therapist told you she's not worried about you. So obviously, you know, this is your field also. So like
Yeah.
it's consistent information. So you didn't have a lot to work on. So in my
I worry about me.
You should.
because you only know what you went through. Only you know what you went through from sun up till sundown. So that's fair. You know what I'm? So that is absolutely fair. You know your whole story from inception till now. And again, you don't tell everybody everything, as you shouldn't. So nobody knows exactly what you went through. So of course you would be worried about you, because you probably have intrusive thoughts, and then you got to work through those.
But I also have to say that one of the things that I do appreciate about Stephen, right, is that not only does he have his therapist, right, he also participates weekly in Yard Time, which is a men's mental health awareness group.
I was definitely gonna get to that.
But
Don't.
you know, yeah. So my thing is like, he's constantly involved,
Constantly
and
working
staying,
on
like,
his mental health.
working on his mental health.
That's
you
great.
know, so
That's good.
if it's not with that group that is all men, it's with his therapist, with Denise, and we also
I was just about to say, and be with you.
through the means of the Exonorees Network, we also participate in some workshops through Who's Got Morale, which is right down the street here. We do like with
We'll be at one
others,
Saturday.
yeah, with other members of the Exonorees Network and their partners or other individuals also that come from it. We do some workshops with them as well. So
Okay. Quick question for you, Mr. Pina. You said you started around the age of 17. Is there anything that you would tell the youth out there that are watching you today or may watch you or haven't heard a message from you? Is there anything you would tell them so that they can redirect their lives if they're going down the path that you went, listening to your story? Because I know somebody out there is going to resonate with. It's going to hit somebody.
So I do mentoring, and what I want them to know, one of the things is your life can change in a matter of seconds. And everything you do, there's consequences to it. Build them up with you. Mm-hmm. And if they ain't ready to do the changing and the building that you ready to do, you got to cut them off,
gotta
man.
leave 'em
like
behind.
even with family members, man. Like everyone that say they cool, everyone that say they your boy, they ain't your boy.
They're not.
You understand what I'm saying? And you have to be strong enough to be able to say to them, yo, I'm good. I'm good. And if they really love you, they're gonna respect that. That's the kind of brothers, like, I got a call the other day. My man texted me. I was at my man's graduation. I got a text like, yo, I'm in the hospital. I had a head-on collision. I'm like, what hospital? Where you at? And Maddie, I was like, yo, I'm out. I'm on my way. Maddie, make sure Mom P get home. And I said, there are some brothers that you have that you that tight with. And these are brothers I met inside. And it's like, if you know, you know. If you don't know, that's because you ain't in the know. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just try to have them, understand, like, there's consequences.
Very true. I hope people are listening. Everything in life, all your choices have consequences, good or bad.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. But I have to also say, like, and Stephen is saying that he does mentoring, and a lot of times when the great thing about the work that Stephen does is that he networks, right? And he makes so many connections.
He sure does network.
Yeah, he networks.
Hey!
And he makes so many connections. So in saying that, there are like a lot of programs out here for the youth.
Thank you.
One that I can
welcome,
just
you're
think
welcome.
off the top of my head is Devon with he's gonna kill me for not remembering.
Not on my watch mentoring.
Not on my watch.
Not on my
And-
watch mentoring.
and
Is this for adults or the?
No,
the
it's youth.
Youth.
It's
Okay,
youth.
go ahead.
He's a brother who went to prison for something he did, and he came home and he started mentoring youth. He has a Victory Bones TST, so bike life, that's what he's into. He just opened up a bike shop, and I'm proud of him, you know what I'm saying? And I mentored with him for one summer, and his whole concept is mentoring the youth through bike life. He just opened a bike shop, the only black-owned bike shop, I think, in the city. He's got to deal with mafia bikes and SE bikes. So,
And then on top of that, when he was inside, right, he wrote that book, The Street Slide.
Street Slide.
Okay.
And so that's sort of like the platform, right? Because when he was younger, he believed what was said to him, and it led to him to, unfortunately, taking someone's life and serving time in prison. But it's a great mentoring program. And then you have Turnaround Foundation, which is with Romilda.
Project
Turnaround.
Yeah.
And all these programs, they're in the city of Boston?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So quick question. All right, they have all these mentoring programs. They're wonderful. Not trying to dismiss them or anything. But everyone that's running these programs, had they ever thought of, instead of just having the program inside of a building, like going out in the street and talking to these boys or girls or these kids?
Well, I
Or is
know
that
that.
too much in fear of your lives?
that they do that.
They do.
The ones that I know, like Romilda, Project Turnaround, she does that. Not on my watch, they do that. But there's some, I think, ITY, Danny, he does that. And there are some out there that really do the work because they really want to save lives. I'm not saying that other ones don't, but sometimes people get in a position where certain things come into play and their original mission or their original movement doesn't seem to be that important.
You think it's like they lose the passion for it?
Yeah, because things can happen at Cloud. I tell people often, like, I'm afraid of success.
Oh.
And some of my boys will be like, bro, for the 3 years you've been home, you successful. There's dudes that have been home for 10 years and they don't have what you have. That may be true in their eyes, but for me, it's like I see people that money starts coming in, right? And because that's happening, that takes away. And I don't ever want to be where I have this money coming in and I forget why, or I'm more focused on the money than the mission and
Yeah.
the movement. And as I said to
Right.
you,
Right.
NMW is not just a brand, it's a movement of educating, awareness, and advocacy.
Right.
Educating people about incarceration, wrongful
Raw
incarceration.
conviction, right? And you also have a program for that too, right? For the wrongful convictions to helping people.
It's just, see, when you say program, it's like, nah, this is just what I do, man.
Okay.
Like, I want my brothers when they come home to be successful.
Could we do something to not get them in there? Like,
Can we do something to not get them in there?
well, I don't know. Yeah, because everybody makes their own choices.
So, this criminal legal system, I'll never call it the justice system,
Right.
was put in place to do just what it's doing. Putting us
Yeah.
black men in prison, right?
Black and brown men.
The school to prison pipeline.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
fully aware of that.
So I've seen some stuff on Instagram, right? If you look at a school, you look at the buses that take the kids to school. That bus look like the prison bus. If you look at the cafeteria, right?
Looks like the cafeteria in the
look
prison.
like the chow hall. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like this is, and if you black and brown, like I say, the criminal legal system, never call it the justice system because there's no justice for my people,
Right.
black and brown, even though I'm light skinned or paper brown complexion.
You light skinned ish.
Huh?
You light skinned ish.
Light skinned ish.
Ish.
Paper brown complexion. You know what I'm saying? But it's
Like he
it's
just passed
oh
it.
man. But it's you know, this system, man, I used to be like, this system is flawed. And my friend Sean Ellis told me, he was like, nah, it's not flawed, fam. The system is what
It's
it
built.
is.
It's doing what it's supposed. It
What's
was built
flawed
for.
is the people that's supposed to be the judges, the lawyers, the DAs. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
They're the crooked ones.
There's the flaw. The system isn't, because the system was designed to do exactly what it
it's
was
doing.
designed. Putting black men behind bars.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm wording it wrong, but maybe are there programs out there to avoid? I don't know. I don't know how to word it.
Well,
There are, right?
To try to get them before it gets that far.
There are many.
But they're not hearing it, huh?
That's
Clearly.
So my thing is this, right? You can mentor 10, 15 young men, right? You may only reach one out of
True.
the 15.
True.
And you can't say that's a failure. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, if you just mentoring one person at a time, man, that's cool. You saving a life.
You saving one, yeah, and that one could pass it on to somebody else, et cetera, et cetera.
You also have to understand also that this is sort of wraparound, right? Because you can mentor someone. How many hours are you mentoring them? Even if you did
Right.
5 hours, 6 hours a day, when they leave from your side,
Whatever they're going back
whatever
to,
they're going back to
yeah, it's gonna take
affects
over.
them, you know, has an influence on
That.
them. And it's sort of like, and then you think about all of the things that are stripped from our kids, especially in the inner city, right? Like the sports, they're stripped from that. They're stripped from, you know, the arts, the all of that, the music. You have all of these things that are taken away, that then all they are left to do is to be out there. You know, they don't have enough jobs. Right. You get jobs in the summer. Cool. Everybody gets jobs in the summer. What happens after those 2 months are over? Mm-hmm. What happens?
They're back in their parents'
they're
pockets.
back, right? They're back, and you know, and it's so competitive out
It
here.
is.
It is, right? So, and I know people probably are not going to like me for saying this, but like when you think about schools, and a lot of people say, "Oh, we don't like uniforms." I'm like, I do, because then there's no competition.
There's no competition.
There's no
I love
competition.
uniforms.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
There's no competition.
Yeah,
I don't
I
have
don't.
to. You don't because
Well,
of your
right,
experience,
because
but I
of
can
that.
see it where it.
I
Could,
just don't like getting dressed.
yeah.
Yeah, I like getting my drip be something. I don't mean to brag, but
Go ahead.
yeah, and I'm a fan of yours because you Adidas head to toe. But you know,
So,
you know,
Mr. Javi has a question.
What's up?
Your story, like I love your story, particularly on where you are now, right? And how a complicated past, it shows that a complicated past doesn't have to like hold you down. Like you should, when I hear your story, I'm like, there's no excuses, right? There's no excuses. I know people that's never been in that are doing nothing that will look at your life as a success, right? But as I want to touch on what you guys were just talking about, Amanda, your question, like, what do we do to keep people from getting in this situation? One of my best friends was in a similar situation. He's been out for a while now. He hit the road running. Like, he wasn't supposed to be out. But Massachusetts, thankfully, has a lot of programs, prisoner-led programs that I've learned, which is amazing that you guys are taking advantage of and really, really inspired a lot of people. But when I talk to him or when people talk to him, like, he doesn't take away the accountability of his choices. Like, we basically grew up together, right? And I don't want to go too deep in his story. That's his story to tell. But if you were making a list of who will be incarcerated at some point in their life, I would have been that person and not him. Like, you know, he had a lot more privileges than I did, but he made choices that got him incarcerated. So I want to know, like, how much does accountability play a part in you thinking through your new life now? But also with that accountability, I think he also fairly points out how society kind of turns, and I'm not talking about the school to prison pipeline necessarily, but just society as a whole and how it views masculinity and how, like, masculinity, that view of masculinity in these environments creates kind of like this really, like, possibly horrible situation, this hyper masculinity, the need to defend yourself, the need to not look like a punk, the need to be flashy, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, can you address that a little bit, or is that, yeah? Does that make sense?
So just let me just say, my accomplishments, what I've accomplished in the 3 years and some change, is only due to my supporting cast, right? I have people that have helped me, like my boys Sean and my man Droop. They always say, you don't listen. And it's not that I don't listen, it's just I listen different, right? But an actor who wins an Oscar, he can't win the Oscar unless he got a good supporting cast. If I do a scene with my supporting cast and they not a good actor, or they can't feed and I can't feed off of them, I don't get an Oscar. I got a hell of a supporting cast, man. Too many to name, but they know who they are, right? So that's the one thing. You have to be able to take responsibility, right? And be accountable for, did I kill somebody? Nah. But was I in the streets? Yeah. And then sometimes when I be like, yo, well, there's things you did that you didn't get caught for, man. Yeah, but what I did, man, wasn't, selling jumps on the block, man, there wasn't no 28-year bid, man. Like, yo,
right.
Real talk, man. But you have to be accountable for your actions. I'm accountable for not listening to moms when she say, hey, don't choose that. I don't like that. Don't bring her to my house no more. Nah, man, that's my boy. Like, nah. Nah. And then when you realize, you be like, damn. How many times I sat in the cell with a brother who said, man, if only I had listened to my moms. So you got to take accountability for that. Like, I heard somebody say, ain't no big mamas around no more. Ain't no big mamas around no more. Babies is having babies. And there's a difference between raising a child and rearing a child. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can have a baby. rearing a child is teaching them, showing them. Her daughter has a son, baby Cairo, my baby boy, man, that's my grandbaby, right? But I watch her.
Smoothie shop with?
Huh?
The one you
Yeah.
Sorry. I love him.
So I watch her sometimes on Snap. The way she like deals with him and teaching him boundaries at the age of 2, being able to say no, like that is rearing your child. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Showing them the right way, showing them the path. Like, hey, from a young age, school is important. Take advantage of learning that. He be in the back seat and I'm driving. He be like A, B, C. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know what he's saying because he has the cadence. He may not be saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but he got the cadence. So he'll be like A, B, C, and I'll be like E, F, G, A, you know what I'm saying? But it's the cadence. And I'm like, she taught him that. His numbers. You know, he's a strong walker. Like, yo, like, don't be lazy. You know what I'm saying? She'll show him like cleaning up with the mop and broom. And this is what you call rearing a child, spending the time with the child. And some of these parents don't, you know.
Don't invest that time.
I got a couple of my mans that I'm so impressed, and I tell them all the time because they real fathers and dads, and like, you know, they spend time with their babies, man. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And when you don't have that, and if you didn't have that, you know, you got to be accountable for stuff that you didn't have, stuff that you don't have, stuff that you don't want to put effort into having. Everything ain't gonna come to you, right?
Or maybe even perspective too, because you might have it, but because it's not coming specifically how you want it to look, you don't think you have it.
That's true too. That's
a lot of people's problem. They have everything that they want. It's just not coming from the person or people they want it to come from, so they feel they don't got it. So then it's perspective too.
Well, is it?
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference between a want and a need, right? Mm-hmm. Some people have what they need. Need is a necessity. You know, I need this. I need air to breathe.
Mm-hmm. We need love to survive.
Right? I don't need to have a luxury car. You know what I'm saying? I want it. I don't need to have over 100 pair of sneakers. But I want it. You understand?
But I want it.
You know,
she said I do.
And people say, damn, like I remember this girl was like, why you got so many sneakers? Because I wore prison sneakers for 28 years. I'm going to get, you know, to this day, Maddie be like, you don't need sneakers. And I'd be like, if I want it, you're right. I don't need them, right?
But he's been deprived for
if I want something, I'm getting it, man.
Yeah.
And this is why, not to cut you off, I don't really look at people doing stuff that's too extreme and be like, that's extreme. You don't know the person's story. You don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. So it's easy to just be like, did anybody die from him buying 30 pairs of shoes? Then mind your business.
Exactly.
Did he ask you for the money? Hello. Did I ask you for the money to buy these pairs of shoes? Then mind your business. Let me buy my shoes. Can you get me one when you go back?
Can I what?
Can you give me one when you go back?
Can you what?
It's a pair of sneakers.
You can't fit my sneakers.
You never know.
Nah, you can't.
But yes, I totally get that. I do. And it's great that you have accountability partners because on top of your friends, your circle, they help you also keep yourself accountable because you don't listen.
But I do listen though.
Do you listen when it's too late? Are you listening earlier now?
So Maddie can tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
Panda could tell me something. I don't know your name, sis. I forgot. Jennifer could tell me something. I don't move like Panda. I don't move like Maddie. I don't move like Jennifer.
You move like you.
So it may seem to you that I didn't listen, but I go home and I sit in my head.
Oh, he does that a lot.
Yeah, and you reflect and reflect.
How can I apply this to the way Steve moves?
Mm-hmm.
And in time. Everything in time. Like when I came home, when I would go to speaking engagements, this is how I went. Never not working hoodie and a hat.
Right, that's your brand.
My man Sean used to be like, yo, look at you. Like, he would dress casual, like, and I struggled. I fought with them on a regular, man. Like, I'm not wearing no suit. I'm not putting on no suit. I'm not putting that.
He said, I'm not.
But the first thing is, when I was inside, I'd be like, I can't wait to put a suit on. Because a brother looked good in the suit. You understand what I'm saying? But when I came home, when I put the suit on, I felt like I was going to court.
Damn, perspective is crazy.
Right?
Perspective is crazy.
But through my homeboy Sean, right? I call him Side. Watching him, man, watching his transformation, right? I got 6, 7 suits now.
But do you wear them?
Yes, I do.
And he does, but the other piece was, right, he had suits that he had, from prison. And he comes out and sort of wears similar ones. But then it's like, let's get them tailored. Let's get them tailored to you, to how you like them, to your pants, how you want your pants to fit you. And that also made a difference, right? Because it wasn't just about the suit. It was just how the suit was landing on him. So once he started getting them tailored and he's seeing a different Steve in the mirror and not the Steve that necessarily was going to court, it started playing a different thing. So you're right, perspective. It's the way you see things. It's the way and that also played a huge part in it.
Yeah, and like, Sean's wife Toka used to be, oh, Steve, you shouldn't. I'd be like, man, I'm not letting you dress me. Because I'm not. However, when I would go and buy something, I would say to Maddie, like, yo, I wonder what Sean and Toka gonna say. Right? So when we would go places and I get dressed up, first person I'm looking for when I get there is Sean and Toka. Yo, what's up, bro? Like, what's up? And he'd be like, I see you, fam.
I see you.
And Toka be like, oh, okay. And I'd be like,
okay then,
I did all right. You know what I'm saying?
Suit.
Yes.
So it's like, yo, and it's like, I listened. It just took me.
It just took you your time. You had to do it
You know
in
what
your
I'm saying?
time.
It just took me some time to get to.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But don't get it twisted. There are times, not that it's too late, but there are times where he done bumped his head 2 or 3 times. So it's not like
Indeed.
he waited that, his head didn't bust, but he gave himself a couple of bumps.
Yeah. Okay. And Sean and my cousin Drew, they got to a point where they was like, yo, let him do what he gonna do, fam.
Let him do what he's going to do.
Yo, we're gonna do hands off.
Everything happens in
Hands
divine
off.
timing.
Yeah.
We're gonna be there to catch you.
Yeah.
Like certain stuff will happen. Like I would tell Drew when I was inside, I can't wait. And then when I came home and certain things would happen, I call him. I'd be like, yo, bro. He'd be like, this is the first thing he say, welcome. I'd be like, what? He'd be like, welcome. You asked for this. Welcome to it, fam.
Yep.
Welcome to it, cut. Like, yo, man, why am welcome? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's so.
So before we dive into another topic, where can the people find you?
You can find me, man, in the street. No, let me say.
Which street can they find you on then?
So you can find me on the street of Instagram, Pina, SR.S, which is Pina Senior Stephen. And then there's other_side of the wall. I'm on Facebook as Stephen Pina, TikTok, Stephen Pina 255 or something like that.
Okay. You're on all the platforms.
Yeah, I have an Instagram page, NNW 4 Justice. That page I created because I don't follow many people on that page. That page was created strictly to give out statistics on wrongful convictions and stuff like that, to show other people coming home from wrongful convictions, and just to inform people and make people aware that we never not working for justice.
Right.
So that's what that page is for. My Pina SR.S, that's my personal page, man. Like, you find anything on there, you'll find some of the stuff I'm dropping. I don't have a website to order stuff. But
Not
if
yet.
you want
Not
something,
yet.
That's
yeah,
fine.
I
not
love
yet.
how she
we
manifests your
have-
life.
No, because she says to me, like she says, I network. I meet a lot of people, right? My problem is this. And she says, you don't follow up.
Ah.
You
So
don't
me
follow
in your
up.
DM was a lot? Or was that what you needed?
You say you in my DM?
Well, it wasn't me. It was Tashi, my
No,
assistant.
and this
Nah,
is the
that's-
weird part. Like he masters. People be like, and I'm like, for someone who's been away for 28 years and he doesn't really like do computers and laptops, so he masters that phone and social media
Great.
like it's no.
I'm
none of
happy
his
you did because
business.
I'm glad you're here.
No.
The
It's not,
follow-ups.
it's not master. There be stuff I be posting, and my man be like, yo, how you do that? I be like, bro, I don't know.
I don't know how I did it. I just did it.
I wouldn't be able to do it again.
He said, listen, this was a one and done. That's it. And would you like to let people know where they can find you? Do you have anything going on to support? Or anyone you
No,
want to
I
shout
actually-
out? Or shout out anyone for people to support?
I actually don't like my thing. Honestly, it's like either I post and tag him and he'll repost, or he'll post and tag me and I'll repost.
So you're shouting out your boo?
Yeah. So when it
I
comes
ain't
to
mad at that.
when it comes to NNW, we really do sort of like tag team it a little bit.
I love
He
that.
does have the final say, but things do come.
She
It-
feel like I
it-
don't listen to her sometimes. But like this hoodie here, right?
Oh, yard time.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I did. That's what I was going. So, yeah, let me shout out Yard Time. Yard Time. So that's my man Joseph Toot Bennett, another person who was wrongfully convicted and exonerated. And this was something that he thought up while he was inside, right?
Hence yard time.
Hence Yard Time.
Okay.
When he came home, there was no organizations offering mental health for guys.
Don't dive
coming
in too
home.
deep because we're running out of time.
Okay, so he created Yard Time
Every Tuesday,
Every
just on-
Tuesday, Tobin Community Center, 6:30 to 8:30.
And you said the Tobin?
Tobin Community
Tobin
Center.
Community Center on
Yes.
Tuesdays?
Yes, and then he took us bowling one time,
He created a league.
and he created a league from that. We got 2 more weeks.
There's
and
so
it's
much
like-
positive things in the
Yeah,
city
because-
happening. People be like,
Yes.
there's nothing good for black people. There's nowhere for black men to go. That's a lie.
Yo, people
If
don't be outside. They just
don't.
be on
If they
social
watch
media.
Pandagasms, do you know how much resources I've given people to go to that's like positive for the community? This is crazy. I don't ever want to hear the black people talking about there's nothing out here for us.
Hence, when he
'Cause there's a
said,
ton
like,
of
when you
stuff.
guys asked, like, how can you prevent? It's like it's there, but no one's going. Like, it's like no one's going. So what do you do? Like, we're using this platform now to spread, right? Awareness.
Yes, to spread
on
the
wrongful
awareness.
conviction and men's mental health awareness and all of that. But it's like you try on all levels. He goes to Be Healthy constantly, to Shea Butter constantly. We're constantly doing things, and it's like,
Yeah.
how else do you do
Sometimes
it?
people just don't want better,
see,
and that's okay. It's gonna happen. The seed is
Absolutely.
planted, and honestly and truthfully, I'm starting to see it more. So I know it's gonna continue to spread.
Absolutely.
I definitely
It's
do.
not that they don't want better. It's just people have to. When it's their time,
Yeah.
Right.
When it's their
when it's
time,
your
they'll
time.
do it, and it's usually when it affects them directly. Unfortunately,
Sometimes.
unfortunately, that's when people
Sometimes.
start to care. When it affects them directly, they know someone that's very close to them, and they're like, "Oh my God, how do I help them?" But
what happens is when the star goes out, people step up.
I
People
believe
step
you.
up.
They do, and
Plus,
they
I
will.
need them to keep winning so I can sell some more shirts, man.
I want one of those.
Okay.
You could bring it to the live show that you're gonna come to with your lady, and I'll buy one that night.
Okay.
I wear large,
All right.
so bring me a large on May 31st,
All right.
right here at Spark FM from 6 p.m.
You know
to
you don't
11
have to wait till
p.m.
the 31st.
Well, it'll be best.
Okay.
That's when I want it.
They-
Now you got two.
So you can get it exclusively at Be Healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They
And
got
with
they,
that-
they got them on the rack.
On the shelves over there. Yes,
Yeah.
they
With that
do.
being said, make sure, well, you already subscribed to us on YouTube.
But I will, yes.
Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Pandagasms on all platforms. And this will be out next week.